The early morning silence over Louisville was shattered once again by a sound that the city hoped it would never hear again, a deep, thunderous impact followed by the eerie glow of flames lighting up the pre-dawn sky. For many residents it felt like déjà vu, a tragic echo of a nightmare that had already scarred this community years ago. The title that began circulating on aviation networks and news outlets read chillingly familiar. UPS Flight 1003-154 Revisited. The Louisville crash that feels all too familiar. In the heart of Kentucky, Louisville has long been home to UPS' massive global air hub worldport. Every night, hundreds of flights arrive and depart, forming one of the busiest cargo air operations in the world. Pilots, technicians, and ground crews work around the clock in an intricate dance of precision, timing, and trust. Yet, despite the rigorous safety systems, the memory of UPS Flight 1003-154, a crash that occurred over a decade ago near Birmingham, Alabama, remains a haunting reminder that even the smallest lapse in aviation can lead to catastrophe. The original UPS Flight 1003-154 went down in August 2013, just short of its destination. It was an Airbus A300-600F, a robust and trusted workhorse of the skies. The flight was on approach to Birmingham, Shuttlesworth International Airport, carrying cargo from Louisville. But in the dark hours before dawn, the aircraft descended below the glide path, clipping trees and disintegrating on impact. Both pilots lost their lives. The National Transportation Safety Board and TSB later determined that pilot fatigue and misjudgment during a non-precision approach were key factors in the crash. It was a painful lesson for UPS and the aviation world, one that led to numerous policy and training revisions across the industry. Now, more than a decade later, a new UPS crash near Louisville is raising unsettling questions. The circumstances, night flight, low visibility, early morning hour, and a sudden loss of communication, mirror the patterns of the past. Witnesses reported seeing a descending aircraft, its landing lights visible against the thin fog, followed by an abrupt explosion that illuminated the sky just miles short of the runway. For many who live near the area, the memories of 2013 came flooding back. "It looked like the same thing all over again," said one local resident who watched from her porch as emergency vehicles raced toward the glow in the distance. Initial reports suggest that the aircraft involved was another cargo freighter, also operating under UPS, possibly an Airbus A300 variant or a newer Boeing 767 freighter. These aircraft are engineered to handle demanding conditions, but even the most advanced machines depend on the precision and alertness of the crew navigating them. The preliminary radar data shows a descent rate that became unusually steep in the final minute before impact, suggesting either a sudden technical malfunction or a critical lapse in situational awareness. Aviation experts are already drawing comparisons between this new incident and the original Flight 1354 disaster. In both cases, the aircraft was on approach in low visibility conditions. Both were night or pre-dawn operations, and both ended tragically just short of the runway. Yet, what makes this new event particularly alarming is that UPS had made significant procedural changes after 1354. The company enhanced fatigue management systems, updated its approach training protocols, and invested heavily in cockpit automation reliability. For such a similar tragedy to occur again raises unsettling questions about whether the industry's lessons were truly learned, or whether human and systemic vulnerabilities remain unresolved. Investigators from the NTSB and FAA have already arrived at the site. The wreckage field spans several hundred yards, with cargo strewn across open terrain. Early drone footage shows the remains of the fuselage split into multiple sections, scorched by fire. The cockpit section appears to have been destroyed on impact, making it difficult to recover key flight instruments intact. However, the black boxes, specifically the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, have been located and are being analyzed in Washington. These devices will hold the critical clues, altitude changes, throttle settings, and, most importantly, the final conversations between the pilots. As the investigation begins, aviation analysts are revisiting the cultural and operational pressures that often surround cargo carriers. Unlike passenger airlines, which operate mostly during daylight hours, cargo pilots routinely fly overnight, often facing demanding schedules with limited rest windows. Fatigue remains a silent but powerful enemy in aviation. The physiological toll of constant circadian rhythm disruption can impair judgment and reaction time in ways that are subtle but devastating. UPS, FedEx, and other carriers have long faced scrutiny over their pilot scheduling practices, though both companies maintain strict compliance with FAA regulations. Still, the human body doesn't easily adapt to chronic fatigue, and the skies don't forgive small mistakes. The possibility of weather as a factor cannot be ruled out either. Louisville's fall mornings are notorious for patches of ground fog and low-lying mist that can obscure visibility during approach. Even with advanced landing aids such as the Instrument Landing System ILS, pilots must rely heavily on their situational awareness and adherence to approach minimums. If an aircraft descends below the glide slope prematurely, even by a few hundred feet, there may be no room for recovery. That's what happened in Birmingham, and early indications suggest a strikingly similar scenario may have unfolded here, but others are asking deeper questions about automation, workload, and training culture. Modern aircraft are equipped with sophisticated autopilot systems capable of managing nearly every phase of flight. Yet, reliance on automation has a double edge. It can reduce fatigue and improve precision, but it can also erode manual flying skills if pilots grow too dependent on it. When automation suddenly disengages, as sometimes happens in complex weather conditions, the pilot's ability to instantly re-establish control becomes a life or death test. If this was a factor in the Louisville crash, it will reignite long-standing debates about the balance between human and machine in modern aviation. Families of UPS crew members are once again facing unbearable uncertainty. Many have gathered near the UPS Worldport headquarters, awaiting official confirmation of the crew identities. Company representatives have expressed deep sorrow and pledged full cooperation with investigators. UPS issued a brief statement. "We are devastated by the loss of our colleagues. Our focus now is on supporting the families affected and assisting the NTSB in determining the cause of this tragic event." As news spreads, the aviation community finds itself reflecting on the fragility of safety systems that are supposed to prevent history from repeating itself. Each crash, especially one that echoes the past so closely, serves as a mirror, forcing regulators, companies, and pilots to confront whether safety reforms have truly addressed root causes or merely patched symptoms. The haunting familiarity of this incident has sent ripples through pilot forums and training centers worldwide. It's like watching the same movie again. One senior cargo pilot commented anonymously, "Different year, same approach, same mistakes. We keep talking about fatigue and descent management, but nothing ever really changes. In the coming months, investigators will piece together the data, reconstruct the final minutes, and present a probable cause. But the real impact on trust, confidence, and culture will linger far longer. Louisville, a city proud of its aviation heritage, is once again under a cloud of sorrow. The skyline that once symbolized progress and precision now carries the memory of yet another tragedy. For aviation enthusiasts and professionals alike, this crash feels almost symbolic. A harsh reminder that progress in aviation is never guaranteed, that each flight is still a human endeavor bound by discipline, vigilance, and humility before nature's laws. The loss of even one aircraft reverberates through the intricate global web of air transport, safety engineering, and human resolve. The images from the crash site tell their own painful story. Scorched ground, shattered fuselage, emergency crews moving through debris, and the faint glimmer of reflective vests illuminated by searchlights. The cargo, everyday items destined for customers across the country, now lies scattered like remnants of a routine operation that went fatally wrong. As sunrise breaks over Louisville, the smoke still lingers. The city skyline stands silent, and the sound of aircraft from Worldport fills the air once more, a stark reminder that even amid tragedy, operations continue. Aviation must go on, packages must be delivered, and lessons must, hopefully, be learned this time for good. Yet, for those who have followed the story since UPS Flight 1354, there's an unmistakable sense of repetition, a chilling loop in aviation history. The same factors that doomed the first may have conspired again: fatigue, darkness, weather, and human error. Or perhaps this time it was something new, something mechanical, hidden deep within the aircraft's systems, waiting to reveal itself. Whatever the truth, it will emerge from the black boxes, from the scorched fragments, from the meticulous analysis of investigators determined not to let this mystery fade unanswered. But until that final report arrives, Louisville, and the world, waits with heavy hearts. Another dawn, another crash, another question echoing through the aviation world. How could this happen again? The legacy of UPS Flight 1354 was supposed to mark the end of a tragic chapter. Instead, it has returned to remind everyone that in aviation, history never truly rests. It only waits quietly, in the thin air between complacency and catastrophe.